My name is Margaret Sass, and this is Chuck Callahan. We are with 3ETV, and we are interviewing some great individuals from Lara. We are going to be talking to Trish and Gustavo. And Trish, can you please talk about Lara and what it's all about?
Sure. I'm Trish Maxwell, and I'm the director at the Lafayette Adult Resource Academy, also known as Lara. And we have a lot of different educational programs. We serve out-of-school youth, age 16 and older, and adults of all ages, in two major program components. They are, first of all, the adult ed side of our program, and that's for people who either need to earn their high school credential or want to train for a job, making a change in career, or who are considering going on to college. The other part of our program is the English as a Second Language program, and that's for beginning, intermediate, and advanced English language learners. We have people from all over the world actually at Lara learning English. We also have childcare. So each year we enroll about 1,500 out-of-school youth and adults and serve about 500 children in our childcare. We also have a jail program at the Tippecanoe County Jail where we help educate people there as well.
Great. Gustavo, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Gustavo Lopez, and I'm a senior here at Purdue in political science and economics. I've been working at Lara for this past year since August as a work-study student in the beginning ESL classroom. And before that, I'd volunteered at Lara for a few years since my time here at Purdue. And it's really great being at the beginning ESL class every night. It's really fun, it's really challenging, and it's really great to see how Purdue can help the community in Lafayette and Lara as well.
How did you learn about Lara at first? Because you said you were volunteering first before the work study, right?
Yeah. So during my freshman year, I got really involved with the Latino Cultural Center here.
Okay.
And one of the students there, he was a senior at the time, and he was a work study student at Lara. And he told me about this magical place that where people from all over the world were coming to learn ESL. And for me, that was really interesting because I came to the U.S. when I was 10, so I had to learn English myself, so it's something really important to me.
Wow.
And I was really interested in volunteering, but because it was off campus, it was hard for me to get there until my junior year, and now I just live right around the corner. But from the Latino Culture Center, I heard about people volunteering and working with the Latino community and all the other people from all over the world.
Wow. So you're graduating soon, right?
I'm graduating in 2 weeks.
Oh, in 2 weeks?
Yep.
Well, I just had curiosity, what are your plans? Are you going to stay around and continue volunteering, or are you going to be moving?
I'm moving. I'm going to Mexico to do a project, and then
Wow.
afterwards probably going back home to Chicago, to the Chicago area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Trish.
No, I know. We hate to lose Gustavo, but he's a great example of our relationship with Purdue University because we have, every year we have interns from Purdue, we have service learners, and we have volunteers like Gustavo. We have a number of people who are actually retired from Purdue who have come and been long-term volunteers with us. So in addition to that, we get a lot of students from Purdue because, of course, the international community here as well. So, he's a great example of how Lara benefits every day from Purdue and our relationship.
What type of courses are doing service learning at Lara?
Well, for example, right now we have the biggest program is under the supervision of Julie Harrell, and that's the Ayuda y Aprender program, and that literally brings hundreds of service learning students who are more advanced Spanish students at Purdue University, and they come to have a cultural immersion experience with us and end up assisting in our classes. Really, this semester they've been assisting in the beginning, intermediate, and advanced classes. So helping to get to know students, put students at ease, interpreting as necessary, and tutoring them in English. So that's been a huge service learning program with us for a really long time. In fact, they just last week put on a very significant health fair event, health and resource fair event at Lara, where we had numerous community providers as well as Purdue entities. Nurses Without Borders was an example that was there. Pharmacy students were there providing information to our students.
And so was the fire department was there as well?
Yes, they were, yep. United Way agencies, Habitat for Humanity, a lot of organizations, but it was really the Ayuda y Aprender program at Purdue that put together that whole experience, and they've been doing that for a number of years too.
And when it was provided, it was also at night too.
Yes.
Which is interesting. I want to feel that aspect about you having night activities at at Lara?
Well, we're a non-traditional school in the sense that we're there as a college and career readiness academy, so we're serving in between, getting your high school credential, which some people want even if they've earned it in another country, and other people just need. So we're sort of that bridge between high school, get that credential, and then transition to college or post-secondary career training or whatever. And so to meet that community need, we have classes from 8:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. We're open 12 hours a day, 12 months a year. So people like Gustavo are so important to us because we could never budget for the staff that it would require to operate that many hours and that many months out of the year. So these volunteers are they're not extra for us. They're integral. They're critical members of the Lara team.
Very interesting. So what right now is your greatest need, Lara? What's the thing that you need volunteers for the most? And I mean all different types of volunteers, of course.
Well, and luckily we have all different types of volunteer opportunities. We always need assistance in our childcare. Our childcare serves obviously international students, children. So, in the morning, 8:30 to 11:30, the childcare serves obviously preschool age children. Right. So those are children ages 1 to 5. We are often the first formal instructional environment those children have ever encountered, due to their young ages, obviously. And there can be children in the morning childcare program speaking every language you've ever heard. And it is amazing how well children play together regardless of those different languages. But it's such an interesting volunteer experience because of it, because we not only want to immerse them in English and families are very interested in us helping their children learn English, but we're also socializing them to the Lafayette community, to our community at large, and how to function in a school environment. So we're doing everything with them, fire drills, counting, all of the academic things, but also all of the social things that come with getting ready for school. Many of those children will go on to stay in our local school corporations, so we feel like it's an important role for us to prepare them. So obviously that would be a great place for education majors, human service majors, people interested in international studies, that kind of thing, and who also love children. Then at night, the 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. childcare, it's older children, school-age children. And those children often need assistance with homework, and that's very, very critical to the parents because, as Gustavo can relate, many of these folks are incredibly hardworking, and they come to Lara as a family. So, the husband and wife are both in our classroom, and the children are in our childcare. And those children are second language learners themselves, and so we want to be not only able to provide them with a good, safe childcare experience, but help them with their homework, etc. So we need all hands on deck for that. And some of the best Purdue experiences we've had, and we have some right now, as a matter of fact, they don't quiz me on their names, are sororities and fraternities who really take up that cause and provide special events for those children, or supplies and materials, so that's another way that Purdue really helps us with that. So that's just the child care. And then we have a pretty sophisticated intake and advising program at Lara, so that every person who walks in the door really gets customer service, that we find out where they are. We test everyone immediately to establish a baseline of where they are academically, what do they need. And then we need lots of one-on-one assistance with people so that they feel comfortable, we get them placed in the right environment, we stay in constant contact with them. People walking in the door to an educational institution like ours is an act of courage. When you've been discouraged from education or derailed from it in some way, that could be anything from having been expelled at a young age to struggling academically, to being a special needs learner, to being a second language learner, or just having life obligations, having children at an early age, or needing to support your family. So many different ways that you could have been derailed from your educational goals. So having volunteers who can work in the office, who can work in advising, who can help with assessment, who can help in classrooms. We have special events almost every month. So people who can help less, have less hours to commit to us, can help through that way. It's just as Gustavo said, I mean, it's an amazing place with so many different things going on that there's a place for all kinds of volunteers.
So it sounds to me like, depending on the student and the student skill set, you kind of tailor make the opportunity to the student. If the student walks through the door and you begin a process of finding out what they can contribute. Talk about that a little bit.
Exactly. That's a really accurate description. Let's talk about the adult ed side first. So that's a person who is really focused on an academic or career goal. Most people that come to Laura in that way are already working. So, they're employed, maybe 2 part-time jobs, trying to make it and support their families. And they realize, I mean, that's kind of the unifying theme at Laura that's so amazing, is that you have in adult ed, most people are local community members. And in the ESL program, they're from all over the world. I mean, literally like 22, 23 different countries in our building at any given moment. But everybody's united under the belief that education is transformational and that opportunity will change their lives and their children's lives for the better. So the person walks in the door, the first thing we do is, welcome aboard, now you get to test. So they take a 2-hour test, and that's one of the first things. And, we advise them through that process, of course, and it's a standardized assessment environment, just like you would take a test at Ivy Tech or Purdue. You come in and you are literally taking a reading, language arts, and math test. And that tells us where your academic levels are. So that way we can place you in the right instructional environment, as we can help the student get settled into that environment. But before that happens, the second thing we do is have them meet with our college and career advisor, our counselor, and she looks at their academics, but she also looks at the reality of their life. What can they do? Because we can put together an instructional experience for them that's both in class and distance learning. So we have a number of ways to do that. If they have internet access, or if not, we'll develop a paper pencil system for them. Their job may be, they may be very committed to their education, but their job schedule may change every week. So we have to respond to that. We have to figure out, how can we provide you with an educational experience that will drive toward your goals, even though you don't know what your hours will be next week. So we try to work out those things which are really the biggest barriers for adult education, is that nothing goes away. You've just added another demand to your life. You still have your job and your children and all your other responsibilities, and now you've added another layer to it. And so our job is to figure out how to make that work. And we're very flexible because of that, and that takes a lot of people to make that happen.
Absolutely.
Well, Gustavo, I'm interested, do you have any interesting stories from your time at Laura, interesting people you've worked with? Or
I mean, I think everyone in the classroom is really interesting, because having people from all over the world, and I think the diversity of the classroom, not even from where they come from, but age levels or income levels, or it's really great to see all these people sitting around the table. So for me, that has been my favorite aspect of working in that classroom. But I think some of my best memories are working with the classroom and seeing how Purdue students and someone, say, from Mexico and China, and they're all discussing all these topics and in English.
Yeah.
So that's really the best thing we see there, is when people engage outside of like the lesson or the boring sheet that we're doing, and they're talking about something maybe like contemporary, or they're talking about like an American political issue, which is really great because they're engaging in like they're civically engaging in their community, so they're making Lafayette their community even more, and they're talking about things that are really relevant to everyone in English, and it's like people, a guy from China, this woman from Mexico, this woman from Morocco, and it's amazing. And it happens a lot. It's really great to see it.
Yeah, I would just add to that I always tell people that are coming in to volunteer for the first time that what you see in the newspaper about the world is about to be upended when you come to Laura, because mostly what's focused on in news media, of course, are catastrophes and unrest and that sort of thing. But here you see someone from Syria sitting across the table from someone from Colombia, and someone from Mexico from sitting across the table from someone from Poland. And just as Gustavo just described, you know, having this incredible conversation about the world, about themselves, about their families. And you find out that the human family has so much in common, that even though there's a seeming language barrier, a religious barrier, you know, just these huge differences. But there at Laura, all of that fades away. And he's described that very well. It's one of the magical things about Laura.
So what are some of the benefits to a Purdue student? I mean, how does it benefit me to volunteer down at Laura?
Well, I think because it's something so different from Purdue, from campus even, so going into Lafayette and then going into Laura is a completely different aspect of the community, and it's like the real world. Because I think Purdue, if a lot of students tend to stay here, and it's very insular, and you get a very distorted view of the world. So going to Laura, first of all, you're getting this really real world, because you're working with people from different income levels, but you're in that working class community. So I think that's the first benefit. And then even even whatever you're studying, because your skill sets are going to be challenged, and because there's so many things going on, you can find something that can be really useful. For example, I study international politics, so everything that I'm doing with people from all over the world is really relevant, and I find ways to not only have my skills challenged there and developed, and it really is such a great resume builder. I've had several interviews, and people are always really interested in Laura and Lafayette Adult Resource Academy because for one, it just evokes this idea of something so different, because there's so many things going on, and you gain so much knowledge from the world and being able to be really flexible. And it's, as a Purdue student, it's really fun to be able to put yourself in a very different experience, and being so close to campus too.
You know, and some of the, I think maybe what's unknown is, as Gustavo was mentioning, some of the skills that you have to draw on as a Purdue student coming and working at Laura.
Right.
In our adult ed side, the test that is now given in the state of Indiana is no longer the GED. That closed out in December. The test is a high school equivalency assessment.
Okay.
And it's Common Core aligned, so it's college and career readiness standards. So everything about it is more challenging than it's ever been, and it's geared for college readiness. So, you know, we have to teach people math who may have not been in math class for years, or who may have never ascended to algebra, and we're going to be teaching algebra and geometry and those, you know, higher forms of math. So we have engineering students who right now we have a couple of engineering students from Purdue who are sharing their math expertise and tutoring side by side with students, or acting as an instructional assistant in the classroom, even sometimes delivering lessons. So, you know, there are 5 components to that test: science, social studies, language writing, reading, and math. And so anyone who has expertise in any of those disciplines could come in and assist the teacher, because what's so challenging in both the English as a second language classes and the adult ed classes is that we are open enrollment. So imagine this for your teachers here at Purdue. Every day you can be getting a new student.
Wow.
Some days you're getting 5 new students. So we never say to a person, well, you have to wait until next semester. When people arrive at our door, we have an intake and orientation process, but we're trying to get them in the classroom very quickly. So teachers are constantly having to address where their current students are as well as new students. And I'm sure Gustavo's experienced that many times, where, you know, one of his roles would be to support that person who's coming wide-eyed to the door of that classroom, and everyone else seems to know what they're doing, and we want to get that new person in as quickly as possible. So those are all different disciplines at Purdue where students could really put those skills to work for us.
So the equivalency test, I know that there was that big transition and changing. You were trying to get the word out. Can you take it at any time? And what's the cost of that? Is that a barrier at all?
Well, it is. I mean, it's gone really well. The test has some, like all changes, it has benefits and it has challenges. Right. So the biggest benefit is that the GED test used to be given more or less all at once in a classroom setting over 2 days for 7 hours. Now, this test, we test in a standardized assessment center. It's a computer-based test. We can give it in pencil paper form, but we mostly give it on the computer. And because of that, individuals can break it down and take each of those sections one at a time. And they can actually start the test, and they have 60 days in which to finish it.
Really?
So even though that's given us a huge amount of flexibility that we've never had before, because we
Right.
can take, and we have a readiness test to know whether the person, it gives us a percentage ranking on how prepared the person is to pass that test. And usually people come in with a lot of background knowledge and a lot of skills. They may not have been specifically in an academic area, but they're still really good life skills that support one thing or another. So maybe they perform really well in reading. Well, they can go ahead and take that test if they're ready to pass it and pay $18, take that test, pass it, and then prepare for something that may be more challenging for them. Maybe math is what's really challenging, and we would work hard to prepare them for that. And they could be checking those off as they move along rather than having to be ready for all of it all at
Right.
once in a 2-day period. And because we can break it down into those $18 payments, the whole test is $90, but over 60 days, $18 at a time is much more manageable for people.
That's interesting, because I noticed that with that test, it changes by price per state, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And
yeah.
so it goes up to 120 or
100
so.
It was going to be $120 until the state changed direction and picked a different test and a different test provider. And so this is actually lower than we were concerned. It was going to be even higher than this at the end of December when the state was making decisions about it. So I'm really happy with the choice that they made. It's not that it's without challenges, and
Right.
anytime you make a huge transition like we have made in adult education in terms of higher academic requirements to pass that test, and the test itself is different, and even for some people moving to a computer-based test is difficult, but the majority of all other tests are computer-based, so we're really focusing on adding that technology skill to our students' lives as well. I mean, that's another thing that we're teaching.
And is there a lot of places where you can take the test at? Because you said you had to go to an assessment center.
Just our assessment center at
Oh,
Lara.
really?
Yes,
Okay.
we have a new assessment center, and that's the only place you can go take it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we are part of a region, so there are regional adult education programs. Fountain, Warren, Benton counties has one, Delphi has one, Monticello, Kokomo. Those are all part of our region.
Okay.
Frankfort and Crawfordsville, we're part of a 12-county area, and the state is divided into adult education regions. So there are programs literally all over the state, and most of them have either a testing center at their location or nearby. And that can be at another location. I mean, it doesn't have to be in the adult ed program, but in the case of Lafayette, we have our own assessment center.
Well, if we have enough time, I'd like to hear about the fashion show special event you just had.
Well, thank you. That's an exciting thing. That's actually Dr. Margaret Sass's idea. She brought that to us. Our advisory board, we have a great advisory board that helps us in so many different ways, and they were looking for a new event to really show the work that we do. And Margaret came up with the idea, along with Amy Wood from United Way, to have a fashion show that focused on low-cost, professional type of clothing with the themes of college, career, and community. And we had we had Purdue students involved, we had Jefferson High School students involved, our own volunteers, students, and staff involved, and it was a huge success. It also raised money for scholarships to pay for those tests, so that was really helpful as well.
And we're going to plan on having them annually, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's excited about growing it. We hope the first annual Thrill of Thrift fashion show at Lara will be the first of many.
So we'll probably have to start bringing Purdue students to volunteer to be models.
Absolutely. Yeah, we would welcome more involvement in that.
That would be great. So we have like a minute left, and I want to know how we can reach you. What is the best way, if who's ever watching this can volunteer, or Gustavo can provide some mentoring or training before he graduates in the next 2 weeks?
Well, probably the fastest way to find us is on our website, which is laralafayette.org, L-A-R-A, Lafayette.org. That's a quick way to find us. You can also call us, just Google us, you'll find us right away, and we are also on Twitter and Facebook.
And so you just join on is your Twitter Lara? Is that what it is?
Learn at Lara.
Learn at Lara.
Learn at
And what's
Lara.
the Facebook name?
Lara. It's Lara Lafayette.
Oh,
too. Yeah,
okay.
You can find us.
And Gustavo, is there any way they can reach you, or are you going to be known doing your project in Mexico, or what?
Well, they can reach me through my email, I
Okay.
suppose, lopez33@purdue.edu, or walk into Lara. We're always there, and it's really accessible. Just and even students, if they're really interested, they can take the bus. There's a direct route
Yep.
to the
And
building.
they do have to fill out paperwork, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
background check
Yes.
and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So you have to plan and prepare for that aspect. And then you can probably just start volunteering once that's been all approved, right?
That's correct, and that doesn't take very long. So,
Okay.
you know, yeah, I would encourage people, if you go to the website, there's an email link.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you for joining us for this TV show, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for having us.